Hey everyone, welcome back to Filmflix. Grab your popcorn, get comfy on the couch, because today we are diving deep into the cinematic wreckage of 2025. This is my personal list of the movies that I was so hyped for, the ones I marked on my calendar, only for them to completely break my heart. We're talking about the biggest letdowns of the year. Oh, and if you're wondering where you can stream these questionable masterpieces, I've got all the details in the first pinned comment. Now, let's get into the glorious train wrecks, shall we? First up, imagine a finale that's been building for years, promising to tie everything together in an epic conclusion. Now, imagine that finale is less of a bang and more of a confusing fizzle. This movie was so bloated, so overstuffed with characters and subplots, it felt like they were trying to solve world hunger with a single, very convoluted script. They bent over backwards to connect every single previous movie, resulting in this tangled web of fan service that just felt forced and honestly a little desperate. The action scenes were cool, I'll give them that. Tom Cruise still runs like a champ. But you could feel the franchise straining to top its past glories and just falling flat. As an ending to a legendary character's journey, it was a total anticlimax. It just ended. I left the theater feeling like I'd watched a 2.5-hour trailer for a movie that never actually started. What a weird, unsatisfying goodbye to Ethan Hunt in Mission Impossible: The Final Reckoning. Okay, next. Were we expecting a philosophical masterpiece? No. But were we hoping for a visually stunning light show with a killer soundtrack? Absolutely. Instead, we got a movie that felt like a screensaver on a billion-dollar budget. The script was so paper thin you could see right through it to the studio notes. The visuals, while technically impressive, become exhausting when there's no story or characters to care about. It's just pretty lights and loud noises. The new cast tries, bless their hearts, but they're given nothing to work with. And the worst part? That inevitable tease for another sequel bringing back the old cast felt more like a threat than a promise, especially because we all knew this was going to tank. Even the score by Nine Inch Nails, which should have been an instant classic, was just fine. It's the best part of the movie, sure, but it doesn't even come close to the iconic work Daft Punk did for the last one. Such a hollow, forgettable experience was Tron Eris. Alright, this next one hurts. You have an incredible director known for smart, provocative films. You have a cast that is pure fire. Julia Roberts, Andrew Garfield, Ayo Edebiri. The hype was real. This was supposed to be a sharp, timely thriller about a very sensitive topic, perfectly suited for the post-#MeToo era. But oh my god, it was so boring. For a movie with so much talking, it said absolutely nothing of substance. The script was draining, attempting to explore nuances, but coming off as simplistic and, dare I say, almost juvenile. The actors are doing their best, especially Julia Roberts, who is just magnetic, but they're stuck in a story that goes nowhere. It just meanders and moralizes without ever landing a real punch. It's like being trapped at a dinner party with people who think they're being profound, but are just talking in circles. A rare and shocking miss for Luca Guadagnino with After the Hunt. Okay, here's another one from a master filmmaker that I was convinced would be a major awards contender. It starts with this incredible, taut first act. The tension is palpable, the ensemble cast is fantastic, and you are on the edge of your seat. The premise? Intercepting a missile aimed at a major city. Sounds intense, right? Well, the movie decides to show us this scramble from 3 different perspectives. Cool idea, except they overlap so much that it just becomes repetitive. All the suspense built up in the beginning just evaporates as you watch the same events play out with slightly different angles. But the real crime is the ending, or rather the non-ending. After all that build-up, the film just stops. It intentionally refuses to show you what happens, leaving you on this ambiguous note that feels less like a bold artistic choice and more like a total cop-out. The craft is there, no doubt, but the script makes some baffling choices that completely undermine everything. I felt so cheated by a House of Dynamite. Okay, let's talk about the movie that had the easiest job in the world. The formula was already perfected by a hit TV show. All they had to do was bring in one beloved character from the remake to meet the established legends. It was a slam dunk. Instead, we got this lifeless, frantic rehash that commits the ultimate sin. It sidelines its own legends. Ralph Macchio and Jackie Chan are barely in it. Daniel San doesn't even show up until the third act, and their interactions are so brief and half-baked, it's like they filmed them on a lunch break. The whole movie flies by in a 94-minute blur, so none of the fights or emotional beats have any time to land. It's just go, go, go with no substance. The new kid, Ben Wong, is genuinely charming and does his best, but his talent is totally wasted on this hollow cash grab. What should have been an epic crossover event was just a bizarrely forgettable footnote called Karate Kid Legends.
Man, this list is brutal. If you're enjoying this therapeutic rant session, do me a huge favor and hit that like button and subscribe to Filmflix for more movie talk. It helps the tongue. Now, where were we? Ah yes, more pain. This next film was supposed to be a match made in action movie heaven. The director of the Raid movies teaming up with Tom Hardy. I mean, come on, that sounds perfect. And while there are a couple of decent action sequences, the whole thing feels surprisingly sleepy. It lacks the raw, visceral energy that made the director famous. The plot is barely there, and the characters are so underdeveloped you forget their names the second they're off screen. This completely stifles an amazing cast who have Timothy Olyphant and Forrest Whitaker being criminally wasted in roles that could have been played by anyone. Even if you turn your brain off for the dialogue, the action just isn't special enough to carry the film. It feels generic, which is the last thing you'd expect from this director. I really hope he bounces back, because HAVOC was one of the biggest disappointments of the decade. Get ready for another one that seemed like a genius idea on paper. One of our most stylish and witty directors tackling a classic Stephen King dystopian novel. It should have been a satirical masterpiece. Instead, it's the most generic, un-Edgar Wright-like film he has ever made. It feels like a soulless corporate product that's been polished to a dull sheen, stripping away all the visual flair and cynical humor he's known for. The satire is so broad and on the nose that it forgets to be fun. Most of the cast is totally wasted, except for a brilliant Coleman Domingo who steals every scene he's in. But at over 2 hours, the movie is a punishingly long slog. And the ending, it teases the novel's brutally dark finale, only to chicken out at the last second for a sanitized Hollywood resolution. The 1987 Arnold Schwarzenegger version is still the champ, and it's not even close. Edgar Wright's The Running Man just didn't run. Even for a filmmaking legend, remaking an Akira Kurosawa classic is a bold, maybe even foolish move. And while a modern take on his 1963 police procedural starring Denzel Washington had potential, this thing is one of the sloppiest, most confused movies of the director's entire career. The script and direction are so flat, so bizarrely corny at times, you almost wonder if it's a joke. Like, is he being sarcastic? Denzel tries his absolute best, because he's Denzel, and there are a few punchy moments, but mostly it's just a dull, poorly paced remake that completely misses the point of the original's tension. And let's talk about the score. It is one of the most hilariously out-of-place musical scores I have ever heard in my life. It actively works against the movie. What a baffling misfire from Spike Lee with Highest to Lowest. After a couple of duds, I really wanted this to be a comeback for the Russell brothers. It was based on an acclaimed sci-fi novel. It had a killer cast led by Millie Bobby Brown and Chris Pratt, and a mind-boggling $320 million budget. All the ingredients were there. But nope, this is their third straight miss. While the visual effects are often staggering, the story has no soul. The heart and emotion of the source material are just gone, replaced by a generic plot that leaves the all-star cast looking bored and just going through the motions. Their loose adaptation of the novel stripped out everything that made it special, resulting in a hollow spectacle. It's a beautiful-looking movie, but it's completely empty inside. It's honestly depressing to think about how much time, talent, and money was wasted on the Electric State. Finally, at this point, nobody expects a masterpiece from this franchise, let's be real. But when the director of Godzilla and Rogue One signs on, you can't help but get a little intrigued. They were leaving the old characters behind for a fresh start with a great new cast, an opportunity to do something new. But no, it was just more of the same. A tedious greatest hits collection of franchise moments with zero fresh ideas. You'll forget this movie the second the credits roll. Except for one thing.
possibly the dumbest, most egregious instance of product placement in film history. The entire catastrophic plot is set in motion by a Snickers wrapper. A Snickers wrapper! I am not kidding. And yet, because people love dinosaurs, it still made a mountain of cash, proving this franchise is completely critic-proof. Jurassic World Rebirth was just another lazy, soulless sequel. And there you have it, my friends, the films of 2025 that promised the world and delivered a pile of disappointment. What were your biggest movie letdowns of the year? Let me know in the comments below. I want to hear all about it. Thanks for hanging out and venting with me. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you don't miss our next movie night. See you in the next one.